And this is the Ipswich dock. What did you call it? The inner dock? Or the inner?
Wet dock.
This is the wet dock.
Wet dock.
Here we are. This is Arthur Smith. I'm David Cotgrove, and we're here at Tovell's Wharf at Ipswich. This is the Ipswich dock, and this is the wet dock. And we're standing where the Empire Nutfield came into Ipswich with its cargo of bombs, and Arthur was in the stevedoring gangs that were discharging her. That's right, Arthur?
Yes, yes.
And you told me how you were craning these bombs out from the holds of the Empire Nutfield.
Yes.
And they were being discharged into railway trucks,
Yes.
which came down these railway lines here.
Yes.
And you told me about how the Americans were here, how many, about 20 of them or so,
Yes.
and they were supervising
Yes.
and checking the cargo
Yes.
and playing craps
Yes.
and generally enjoying their time here at Ipswich.
Yes.
This is exactly where the Empire Nutfield lay.
Yes. Yes. Definitely here. Yes.
And she lay with her bow this end of the quay
Yes.
over there
Yes.
to our right. And she lay here for about 4 days.
4 days. Yes. Yes.
And did you have any problems discharging the cargo?
Not really. Not really.
You had a little bit of a problem with a pallet once, I believe.
Yes. Yes.
Was that on this particular vessel?
It was on his vessel, but it wasn't in our hatchway.
It wasn't on your hatchway.
That was in number 1 edge.
That's on the forward end of the
Yes.
ship.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
At Tovell's Wharf. And we're thinking about the time in September 1944, nearly 50 years ago, Arthur,
Yes.
when you were discharging these bombs here. And you told me how the electric cranes which ran along here
Yes.
were discharging from the holds of the Empire Nutfield,
Yes.
and you were taking out these bombs.
Yes.
And you told me how some of these bombs were crated,
Yes.
and I thought they were in boxes.
Yes.
Tell me what you meant by that.
Well, when I went quoted, I had like long splines running around all the way around them. It wasn't completely cased over.
So there were battens,
There was battens all the way around.
wooden battens
Yes.
running along,
Yeah. All the way
and they were held on by
like 2 steel bands.
steel bands.
Yeah.
And how many bombs were in these
2.
cases? Just two?
Just 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And were there any other sorts of smaller bombs?
Well, there was some smaller bombs. There were 4. They was cased up exactly the same way. With the bands round and the battens all around the sides and edges.
And I asked you whether or not you could see the bombs.
Yes. Yeah, you could see the bombs. Yes.
Well, later on, I'll show you some dummy bombs.
Yes.
And I'll see if you think they're something like the bombs that you
Yes.
handled. Could you see the noses of the bombs clearly?
Yes.
So it doesn't.
You can see the complete bomb.
Can you just say with your hands how long these bombs look?
I'd say they were as long as this.
Yeah.
About 2'6".
Yeah.
Probably.
What colour were they?
Grey.
Right.
All grey.
Any writing on them?
Well, they all had different numbers on.
Right.
And what painted on them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as they went out, the Americans were checking these numbers as they went out.
Right. And did any of them have any accidents?
Not to my knowledge.
Was there any accidents with the gear or any problems with the craning?
No, I don't think so. No, I think everything was going smoothly until we had one accident. I think it was in the forehole. The bomb slipped off.
That was number one hole.
That's the number one hole. One of those bombs slipped off and went into the water.
And did they leave it there, or did they try?
Left it there, and I thought it was iced up, but I had no more about it for months.
And the Americans didn't complain to you or anything like that?
Never heard nothing about it at all, whether it was missing or anything.
Well, I believe sometime later after the war they fished it out on the dredger.
Yeah.
And
I was verified that it was one of them.
And the American, the British bomb disposal officer looked at it and he said, "We better be quiet about this one. Yeah. It's a Yank."
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, later on, Arthur, we'll go along and have a look at these models and replica bombs, and we'll see what you think of them.
Yeah.
So here we are, enjoying a nice sunny day on this Saturday. What's the date today? The 28th of August.
Yeah.
So that's just about 49 years ago coming up.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the gauge. Or it might be a line there. Sets of rails was just here.
Yeah.
And the other one, were the crane rails completely separate from the railway rails? They were, weren't they?
Yes. Yeah. So
and the crane ones were right up against the quay, and the railway tracks were...
That took two sets of rail up along here.
Yeah.
There's one here for the crane locker. Another one that width there.
Yeah.
To the railway.
So there's the railway here.
Yeah.
That's one. There's another one here. That's railway.
Yeah.
And then two for the two rails
for the crane.
For the crane. Yeah.
But they were wider. Crane.
Yeah. Now I've got photographs of these cranes, which I took 20 years ago now.
Yeah.
And they still look quite good cranes. They were sort of grey-green colour, and they must have been quite new at the beginning of the war, I would have said.
Yes. I remember the crane goes right enough.
Yeah. So anyway, as we pack up here, when you were working with a gang, how many in your gang?
4 down the hold.
4 in the hold.
2 on the shore.
2 on the shore.
Yeah.
And
one checker.
A checker. When you say a checker, he's got a tally. He's a tally clerk.
He's checking with our master.
Yeah. And he's checking the cargo off.
Right.
And then, what was the hatchwayman's job?
Give me the crane to over the up or down or
Yes.
up out or left.
Yes, I see.
Where he was giving orders where we couldn't see.
Right.
Heave up or lower out or, you know.
So that's 4 in the hold, 2
on the
ashore,
shore,
a
one
hatchwayman and a checker. And then of course
8 men in the gang.
8 men in the gang. Yes, okay.
Yeah.
And the checker, he's got a notebook, has he?
That's right. Well, they supply a pad at the office
Yes.
with all the particulars. You know.
So in other words, each of the bombs that came over from
Was
the
checked.
ship was checked. Yes,
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
And the crane driver, who was your crane driver on this job? Can you remember?
Fred Demant.
Fred?
Fred Demant.
Fred Demant.
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 D-A-M-M-I-N-T.
Oh, Demant.
Demant.
Yes. There was a pilot's name, Demant, too, I think.
And another one was Sammy Hazel.
Yeah.
And his brother, he's another one, Hazel.
Yeah.
Sammy and
Don't worry.
Stanley.
So they might have a... So when they come in, they lock in, so they come in at high water. They come in... Okay, so here we are looking over at Tovell's Wharf, just across here, and the vessel would have come in in from the locking in round about high water, and she'd come in under her own power. She'd have a pilot aboard, and she would just manoeuvre in and lay up against there and tie up.
And get moored up there.
Right, okay. Well, it must have, it looks like an important dock, but it doesn't seem an important key, but it doesn't seem very important now.
No, it's good, doesn't it?
Yeah. And most of, in Ipswich now, most of the traffic goes over the quay at Cliff Quay.
Yes.
And very few boats actually come into the wet dock.
Yeah. Well, there's very little coming here. That's either Cliff Quay or the West Bank.
Yeah. Right. Well.
I walk everywhere on here. Everywhere you can walk. Around the quay and big on the edge. Just go up. Captain Wharf.
But there's a recession. It's quite a dock in this day.
I said when it's 40 barges lay here. 40 of them barges lay here.
40 spritzel barges?
Yeah.
40 sailing barges?
Wait down over the week.
Yeah.
And there'd be a wheat boat down at Cliff Quay with about 8,000 to 10,000 ton in discharging.
Discharging into the barges?
Yeah. Bringing in the mills.
Right. And when you say to the mills, that's to the mills here, Cranfields. Yes. So the barges are really only taking the cargo for a very short trip. Yeah. And you're talking about sailing barges.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think we can go along and have a look now at some of our gear. When I heard that you'd been working on the vessel and helping to discharge the bombs, I was very keen to meet you. And in fact, if you remember, I was quizzing you about the bombs that we took out. And you said, and I was saying, I was interested in the bombs that were in boxes. Right? And you looked a bit puzzled and you said there weren't any boxes of bombs. And then you said to me, your words were, do you mean the bombs that were in threes? And I then said to you, how did you know they were in threes? And you said, well, they were plain to see. So they were just wooden battens round. Now then, I'm now going to open this box, because that box is a replica, so I'm going to bring it just here.
Okay.
Now this is what a box would have looked like. And you said that there weren't any boxes at all. Right? And there weren't any boxes like this.
No.
Well, and you then said, did I mean the bombs that were in threes? Now, I'll show you the bombs that I mean. So I'll open up the box, and this is only a replica. But this is what they would have looked like. And I'll put them the right way up, and I'll put them on the box. This is 3 bombs. Now then, this is called a cluster.
That's right.
And sometimes they had 3 bombs here, and another 3 bombs here. These have got just 3 bombs, and these containers are the parachutes. So they're called parafrags. They're cluster fragmentation bombs. So you can see that when you say, did I mean the bombs that were in threes? I was interested that you said, no, they weren't in a box. They had wooden battens round them. What I mean. Now, did the bombs inside look something like this arrangement?
Yes, I did. But they wasn't actually put in the hole like that. They all had.
Now then, hold on.
And they all had battens on them.
Now then, I've seen various ways the Americans put bombs into various packs, and in fact, just put it away. If I just do this, now you'll see these bombs are fused, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, they wouldn't have been fused. Now then, could they have looked something like that?
Yeah.
I don't mean identically, but
I'll tell you one thing I want to point out. They wasn't so elaborate. That
it wasn't so elaborate.
the cases.
No.
They was just
I've got too many buttons, haven't I?
too many buttons in it, and you got to be.
Now then,
You had a kind of a rough piece of wood here, and just nailed across, and a band went round the lot.
right. Now then, was it? In other words, I've done it so that it's got a hole in it.
Yeah.
In fact, it was just a solid piece of wood there. I
Yeah,
suspect.
solid piece of wood or nothing at all.
That's right.
That's how it was.
Yeah. Now then, when you say, can you recall if there was something here?
Yeah.
Because
I wasn't nothing in the middle. What they do, similar to a square,
yeah.
and these here pieces just nailed on, and the band went round.
Right.
Holding the
Now
door.
then,
That was only a rough job. It wasn't
It was
a
a-
labor job. Like
no.
that.
Well, this is a fairly rough job, but you know, it didn't take long to knock it
You
together.
know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. This looks a bit complicated compared with what it was.
Right, yeah.
So what the Americans had, it was much more simple than this.
Yeah.
And it was just because you did a drawing,
Yeah.
and really there are only about 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah.
maybe 6 buttons. That was all.
Yeah.
But it was all strapped round,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
the actual bombs, the cluster of bombs,
That-
was really supporting the buttons.
That's right. Yes.
Right. Okay. But you could see these lugs sticking up
Yeah.
here. Did you use the lugs at all?
No, I never used it.
You didn't, because
No.
you could have put a strop through there.
Yeah.
You see,
You won't-
and lifted the whole thing up.
No, you won't get a strop working like that.
No. Okay. You were running the. Did you run the strop
No.
under here?
Right underneath.
Right underneath.
Right underneath.
You took the strop underneath. So you stropped them out. So the strop was. I haven't got this one stropped up, as you can see. I haven't got it strapped up.
But anyway,
But that's
we used to pick them up like that and put about 5 or 6 in a sling,
yeah.
and away they go.
Right.
Two strops.
2 strops. Okay. So fair enough. It was much simpler than this,
Yeah.
and you could see the bombs much more clearly,
Yeah,
even than you can with
You've got
this.
too many buttons on that one.
Too many buttons. Right. Okay. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
And all different widths. You know, some was inch and a half, 2 inches, something like that.
Right.
As long as they get it round it.
I'm very comfortable now because when you did those drawings and agreed them,
Yeah.
I thought it was a bit simple.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, I'll do something like you've done, but really it's much more simple than that.
Yeah.
That's a complicated.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Now then, when we were talking about this, you said that apart from these bombs, you remember there were other bombs that were in 2s.
Yeah.
Now then, I haven't got any complete models here, but I'll just show you. And you sent me it back, and you'd drawn this.
Yes, that's right, yes.
And you'd shown me the wooden buttons, the bombs,
Yes.
and the lugs, the lifting gear, coming up between the buttons.
Yeah.
Now the first thing I'd ask you is, that sketch that you've got here, Arthur, and you did this yourself, was that roughly the size of the 2 bombs?
Yes.
The dimensions here? Would you say that's pretty well spot on?
That's pretty well the same length and the same size.
That's right. Well, I'm glad you say that, Arthur, because these are the only double clusters they ever made. And you'll recall that sketch of yours is a damn good sketch to me, and I'd shown them in my sketch with fuses in.
Yeah.
These are the fuses.
Yeah.
But of course, I would just ask you, did they have fuses in?
No.
There were no fuses. No. Fair enough. Because you've drawn a little. I know they had a little knob on the end of the nose.
Yeah.
And you've drawn that knob,
Yeah.
but that's not a fuse, is
No,
it, in what
no.
you've drawn? No, I just wanted to confirm it. Now then, the weight of those, I would have said that those two together, as they are now, would be pretty well a couple of hundredweight.
I was amazing. Just a little more.
A bit more than a couple of hundredweight. Say about 250 pounds, something like that,
Yeah.
maybe. Yep, okay, that.
Go as far as 2.5 underweight.
2.5 hundredweight. Okay, Arthur.
But,
Well, that pretty well checks out with what I know. Now, what you've told me here, remember, I mean, you've sketched this yourself. You didn't know how these bombs worked or anything like that,
no.
but you've given a pretty good and accurate sketch, because my drawing wasn't quite right.
No.
And this is the way that these bombs were done.
Yeah.
So I know damn well
Yeah.
that what you're telling me is absolutely correct.
Yeah.
And one thing I didn't know, that these bombs were present in that cargo,
Yeah.
and as far as I know, neither did anybody else either.
No.
And there were many questions being asked about the various bombs in
Yeah,
that cargo. And so you're saying that these were
Yeah.
double bombs.
Yeah.
Suddenly it makes everything clear.
Yeah.
So that's top marks for you.
Yeah. You would have done it.
Yeah.
And you've got one set of bombs
In one layer.
all over
Yeah.
one layer.
Yeah.
One sort.
Yeah.
They wasn't mixed up with the other.
No, no.
You uncovered the, I don't know what I mean now, you uncovered the whole company. If you haven't, you've got to take one layer right off
Yeah.
to get these.
Yeah. Now then,
So, I mean,
was there a complete layer of these, or would you say
those are complete layers.
complete layer?
They wasn't same as half a dozen of them and two of them
No.
or anything like that.
No. So in other
It was all in one layer.
all in one layer. So I'd have to look at the dimensions of the Empire Nutfield.
Yeah.
Now these would have been, these must have been in a hold fairly near the rear of the ship,
Yeah.
to the best of my recall. But can you give me a, I don't know if it's after all these years, you can give me an estimate, but roughly, how many of these bombs do you think there were? Or
What, all together you mean?
of this sort? And by that, I mean how many clusters? See, there's two bombs there, but
Yeah.
they're one cluster. How many would you say there were? About 50, about 100? They're a big bomb.
See, if you've got the dimensions of that ship, and I think, I don't think there was any in the main hold. They probably be in number 4, wouldn't they?
You reckon they were in
Yeah.
number 4?
See,
Yeah.
there's two gangs working on this.
Right.
She's got 4 holes.
Right.
Well, when each gang has emptied each hold,
Yeah.
you either move up or you move forward.
Right.
So it'll lead number 1 hold
Right.
and number 4, which
Right.
is going aft.
Right.
And I think them bombs was in one layer
Yeah.
in number 4.
One layer in number 4.
I'm absolutely sure.
Right. No, that.
Because they had all them. We went to number 1
Yeah.
when we come out the main hold. And the gang out of number 3
Yeah.
went out to number 4. So
Right.
at the finish, we all finished
Yeah.
at the same time.
Right.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
It might have been half an hour in it, but
You all cleared pretty well. So, in fact, then, it's. I mean, obviously, you can't guarantee after this time, but it seems to you that they were in number 4 hold, and there was one layer of these in number 4 hold, and it pretty well filled that floor. It had been floored out,
right over.
and it was. So that's so. There's quite a lot of them. It's not just one or two. this is quite...
And I think they all went to one base, I think, didn't they?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how they went, but you think they might have gone to one base.
Yeah.
That's likely because this sort of bomb would be probably carried by aircraft working on special sorts of operations.
Yeah.
But I don't... could you tell, anyway, from the way the Americans behaved, that some were looking for their bombs, some were interested in some bombs more than other sorts of bombs?
No, I don't think the only colour I ever saw was there was a sling come out of one old of them cluster bombs.
Yeah.
And another sling come out another crane.
Yeah.
They'd go in a different truck altogether.
Yeah, and a different truck.
These wasn't mixed up.
No, they don't.
So that cargo and that particular sort, they all
stayed together.
went together.
Yes, I see.
Either 1, 2 or 3, 4 trucks, whatever it was.
Yes, okay, so there was one particular group of trucks which
Yeah.
would hold all the same sort of
That's right,
bombs. Yeah, okay. Fair enough. Well, I'll tell you one thing, you've made that very clear to me.
There's only one thing I can't tell you.
What's that?
That still puzzles me now. Where did them detonators go?
Well, the detonators were probably... I should be able to tell you in which hold. I haven't got the papers now, but the detonators were in boxes.
Yeah.
About half that size.
Yeah, I know. I see the box.
You see the boxes?
Yeah.
You're saying where were they sent to, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, all the different... Each type...
The doctors never handled them.
They never handled them. Well,
I can't remember.
Well, no,
They were supposed to have been stacked under the bridge.
Well, I can recall...
I don't know if there's any interest over
I'm not so fussed about the fuses.
No.
The key thing is, some of these clusters had fuses in them. They were shipped with fuses in.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why I'm so interested.
Yeah.
Now, it's one thing I know, that if they were in a cluster which is open, that as you can see, there's no fuses there.
Wow.
If they were fused, they would be in a box like this.
Yeah.
And what's more, when you open up the box, you don't see the clusters straight away.
No.
You see a sealed metal box inside that's all soldered up.
Oh.
So that no rain, no water can get at the fuses, you see. Well, if it rained, they got wet. So as soon as I knew from you that they were in open crates, so to speak, I knew it's not possible for them to be fused. And so my big search, if you like, or my big interest is, are the bombs fused or not fused? And this is why I've asked you all these questions, you see. And I know, by the way, that there were boxes of fuses loaded on the Empire Nutfield, and I haven't got all the papers here, but I would be able to look at the papers and say in which hold they were loaded. I'd be only guessing if I were to say a hold, that the boxes, some were about a box like that size, some were longer boxes, a bit longer, and some were square boxes. Most of them, well, many of them would have been square boxes. And of course, they would say with their fuses, you know, on the end of it, it would say, for instance, for that sort of bomb, on the end of the box would be written the words fuse, bomb, nose, meaning it's a fuse, it's fused for a bomb, and it's fused for the nose of the bomb, you see. And it's quite plainly written. They didn't try and conceal these lettering or anything like that. You know, because a fuse is quite dangerous, really. I mean, it's not that dangerous, but if it was in a fire, or I mean, fuses are designed to be as safe as possible.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, they're sensitive explosives. You see. Now then, I am very, very happy now from what you've told me. This is why I wanted you to see that. I mean, I thought I'd over-engineered it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But because you told me it was very simple.
Yeah.
But I've seen other ones that the Americans have shipped, and they were a bit more complicated than that. But you're absolutely clear that it was much, much simpler than that.
Oh, yes.
Okay, fine. But also, you've told me about that one, and I'm pleased that this outline model that I've got here fits the bill. That's the one. So, I'm pretty clear all round, I think. Now, I reckon at this point, we've got to the point where I'm happy, and I reckon we can go and have a cup of tea. Okay? What's the name of this park? Holywell's Park. Holywell's Park. And these are all the aircraft from Ipswich Airport. Ipswich Airport. Are they? I knew a guy who used to own it. Right road. Anyway. Well, it's incredible, isn't it? And you're only getting 30. You're the only one. Well, you're doing all right.